Alright, Summoners, this is MP Blaze of New Nation. Today I'm bringing you War 10 against 2-1-1 New Avengers. They aren't usually that difficult of an alliance for us, however they have been playing most of the top alliances pretty close, so this war could be a close one. Today BG1 has the Protect Global, and I will be taking Human Torch, Void, and Quake into war. We do have a Mojo Boss, and I will be assigned that Mojo Boss with Human Torch. Path assignments, we have Path 1 in Section 1, a mini boss on the way, and then a second fight on Path 2, Section 2. We do have 9 fights lined up this war. 5 of them will be path and shared fights. 3 of them will be mini bosses, and then 1 will be the boss. So starting out here on Path 1, we're going to Quake both of these fights. Both are 5-star champions. We have a Dormammu first, and then a Gladiator Hulk. So this Dormammu fight, nothing special about it. We're just going to Quake and shake it and make sure we don't drop the heavy too often. We do drop it once. So this video is going to be sped up because it's not going to take very long and there's not much to it. I do slap on 1-hour boosts in the hopes that I can heal up later in case I do take any damage before reaching our big grind to Boss Island. But you're just gonna see here, I drop a heavy right there, but it's not a big deal. It gives him half a bar of power, so we're in the safe zone as far as this fight ending pretty quickly. And it's done. I am gonna slow down this Gladiator Hulk fight though, because against Masochism, I play it a little bit differently than I would any other node. I don't like it when the long concussion or the long stun is eaten by Masochism, so I like to throw in a parry right before it's about to hit so that that stun is eaten through Masochism and the long parry sticks. That way when the long parry is going on, I can build more Quake charges. So you'll see there I did not throw a parry there for that first one. It just happened to stick. But I will, just like there, throw a parry right before when when one of the 2 concussions is down. So when the long concussion drops, I throw the parry. When the long concussion is up, I Quake and shake. So I like to do this. I used to do this for a few of the stubborn global matchups for Quake and Bake, especially against like a Buffet or Power Snack. But for Masochism, I like doing this so that I get the long stun duration to charge Quake's heavy during the fight. And it does make the fight a little bit longer, but that's unavoidable with the Masochism. It's just going to give him some health, so it'll make it longer than most quick 5-star Quake fights. But you still see here, it's not a hard fight. It doesn't take super long, not compared to the rank 3s that I have to parry heavy, especially the Power Snack midi, which takes about like 2.5 minutes. This one only took 1.5 minutes. So not too bad. Unfortunately, the next 2 fights I don't have a video for. I started recording, ended recording, and went and bought 6-hour boosts and forgot to hit re-record. So I had this Symbiote Supreme here on node 20 with strike counter, and I had this Longshot here on Power Snack. And I was really excited to show you the Longshot fight, but he'll probably be there again, so you'll get to see it. For the Symbiote Supreme, I used Void. It's not a very complicated fight. I stick to a combo rotation to keep the Furies from placing, and it usually gets you to 1 bar of power to throw and reset strike counter. And as soon as you get the Petrifies on, Symbiote Supreme isn't going to gain any power. So you could, in theory, heavy lock him against the wall, especially since Void's heavy is 3 hits, so it can kind of avoid most of the RNG with stand your ground. But you're also baiting into the risk of the Furies building up. So I just stuck with the combo until it went down. The rotation is heavy, medium, light, light, medium, light. And that should put you at a bar of power, if not close to a bar of power, so that you can just throw it immediately and avoid any Fury build up on the node. Longshot I took with Void as well. Same concept. We're trying to play that fight really slow until we get a Petrify or 2 from Void up. I did have a Mr. Fantastic Petrify pre-fight placed to help the power game process till we get the other petrifies up, and it's just a parry heavy fight to refresh that debuff and bait SP1. It got a little dicey. He got to special 2 that I did have to block, but then the petrifies landed right after that special 2, so it was an easy combo in the face bait SP1 fight for Longshot. No deaths, not too difficult there. And I'm sorry for missing the recording. Moving on to path to section 2. We're taking the second node and we're quaking this Magneto. We could HT it here, but again, we can avoid the strike counter power drain by just quaking it. And Magneto's not a hard quake and shake fight, so that's all you're gonna see. I don't drop the heavy at any point, and that's why the video is sped up. There's not really much to see here besides quake shaking around. You'll see that he goes down pretty quick. He is a rank 3. And right after this, we're gonna move into a void fight. So, like I said, this can be taken with HT. Magneto's hits are energy based, so it would build the smolders on HT and then HT would just melt them. So still, it's not even a hard fight for Human Torch. Moving on to this Hyperion, you guys have seen me take him before. Today, I do remember to add the SP3 reduction boost. And we are still gonna use a power start 1 here because we have a few left, even though the loyalty store has been low on gray boosts for quite a while. But again here, just like last time, we're just going to play it really slow to start. We're praying that the petrifies are gonna land. It always seems like when you boost heavy, the petrify luck is a lot better than if you boost kind of light, not at all. So the first debuff you're gonna see from Void here is a petrify. So we can play a little more aggressive to this Hyperion. Now, you will see he's at SP2, and he's taking a little bit to throw it, so I'm a little worried I might actually take 1 SP3 from this fight, but it's okay, we don't have to use Void after this fight, so it wouldn't be any pots or items, it's just more so making the fight close. But he ends up throwing the SP2, so we start playing the strike counter node to avoid the power drain from strike counter. And he's got 2 petrifies on, so we're not worried about him gaining power like crazy. It's really just bait specials when we can, throw SP1 when we've got it. Luckily we don't trigger protect, even though we are max boosted, but we're not using any special boosts, so the SP1 damage, as long as it doesn't crit insanely, isn't gonna trigger protect. And again, here he is almost all the way down, and we aren't even at Fear of the Void. I'm still going through that strike counter combo rotation, even though I do have 1 power drain on me, so you're gonna notice I'm gonna be shy of a bar of power finishing the combo, and I'm gonna add up those power drains, but Hyperion's already down. So again, not too difficult of a fight. Usually when we see this Hyperion here, that is my assignment, and I can tell I'm gonna have to bring Void. Also, the game decided to lag on me a little bit and make me worried as to whether this was a disconnect or not. So it goes for about 25 seconds of watching Void hover here until the game finally tells me that we're good. So a little bit of a nail biter there. Moving on to the Rage Mini. We got Kingpin here. We did have a white Magneto pre-fight available, so we went ahead and threw it on so that I could quake and bake this node and not worry about ever dropping the heavy. It's a lot harder to accidentally drop a heavy when you quake and bake, especially when I don't dex during the long concussion. So it ends up being a pretty safe fight. It's not going to take as long as the Power Snack Kingpin because he doesn't have backup recovery, and therefore he's not going to gain the health right at 50%. But it is still quite a long fight with the class disadvantage. I am max boosted. But the white Magneto pre-fight adds 15% attack, so it goes faster, quote unquote, than it would be if I didn't have it and I was just quake and shake. But nothing too crazy here. You guys have seen me quake Kingpin before. Single hit heavies, as usual, are very easy to reapply heavy on, so you can go the whole fight without triggering dex, even though this node we don't have to worry about it. And then the next fight is Cosmic Ghost Rider on Hurt Locker. And same thing, we're going to Quake it. He is Quakeable. Doom could probably take him here. He's not a Protect champ, so there's no worry about doing too much damage with any other Cosmic Ghost Rider counter. But since I was headed this way with Quake, figured might as well take it with Quake instead of assigning someone a champion they may only use for Cosmic Ghost Rider here. He does get a little funky with his animations or his count, or I lose count or something. I do take one hit. But again, not a stressful Quake and Shake fight. This does have Power Focus 1, so there is a worry about dropping the heavy. So you do kind of want to focus as to when the Aftershock's going to hit, so that you don't accidentally drop the heavy and give him a bar of power. But you'll see here, I don't, even with taking 1 or 2 hits, he didn't even come close to SP1. And that should, nope. Oh, and I tried to end it a little bit earlier, and he's down. Okay, so now for the fun part. Mojo Boss using Human Torch. I am going to pause the start of this fight, or in the pre-fight screen, so that I can talk about what my game plan is, because there's a lot to this Mojo fight. And since being with NewN, I've probably soloed 3 or 4 Mojos with Human Torch. Game plan's usually the same. This war, I have the White Magneto pre-fight. That's not a worry. I don't use specials during this fight. I do save an SP3 in case I get cornered, so I can get out of the corner. But you shouldn't trigger Protect at all outside of specials. If you do, it just means you have to fit in or squeeze in an intercept, so hopefully you're good at forced intercepts. I have Human Torch's pre-fight here. It's pretty much a must. It'll make this fight really quick, about 1.5 minutes. Game plan. I do not have Dexterity on. So what that means is that I cannot get cornered without an SP3 or a special to throw, because I will not be able to get out of the corner and I will take a bunch of heavy attacks. So the game plan is that when Mojo is passive, that I hit into his block. Another thing, with Human Torch, people like to do medium, light, medium, which is smart because all 3 hits place and incinerate. Well, with this fight, if you're anywhere near the middle of the field, medium, light, medium is possibly going to get you cornered because it doesn't create enough space. So you'll see me almost always do a 5-hit combo to push him back. So outside of that, the other game plan is to bait a heavy when he doesn't have SP1. When he has SP1, bait it, but block all of it, especially since we have Dexterity off, so that we can build this Molder so our Incinerate or Nova damage increases. And that's pretty much it. So you see me, he was passive, I'm hitting into the block, I'm at his wall. This may be an opportunity to do medium, light, medium. I still don't do that, I'd rather keep him pinned against the wall. But to each their own. But definitely in the middle of the field, if you don't have Dexterity on, make sure you're pushing him against his wall. You're gonna see I do take a hit pretty soon. I end up trying to bait SP1, and it seems I dex too early, and he caught me in the middle of the dex. That required me to hit into his block while a prompt hold block was up and we're in the middle of the field. I didn't want him to corner me, so I ended up activating it, which gave him SP2, and I ended up having to bait and block it. Luckily, he threw it. So we're back to the game plan. Now we're being aggressive, both in his face with 5-hit combos and hitting into his block to push him back to his wall, all while still baiting SP1. Sometimes the prompts don't work out too well. I do have to fight for space here, and he's got hold your block again, and prompt activates. But he's not at 3 subscribers, so it doesn't cause any power gain. It's 3+ subscribers, and he ends up gaining power when they're activated. But this fight goes pretty quickly with Human Torch in the pre-fight, and he's down, 1.5 minutes. What was nice about this Mojo was that he was unduped, so it means when a prompt fails, he goes down to 0 subscribers instead of 1. The danger with his subscribers and him being duped. Subscribers, first off, if he goes down to 1, it's easier for him to get to 3, so he'll gain power anytime he activates a prompt with 3 or more subscribers. And then if he reaches 5 and you're activating prompts, you're going to start getting buffs on you, the hater buff, and that's when the degen starts kicking in and it starts ticking for big numbers. So that ended my war. We went 9 fights without dying. That is my 8th boss clear of the season. BG1 went with 0 deaths to 2116, which was fantastic. And NewN finished the war winning 15-3. I went to bed, we had about 110 fights cleared, and we had 2 deaths, and 211 had about 60 fights cleared and only had 3 deaths. So this is a big swing into the second day. Also a big loss for them compared to how close they were with everyone else. We're still fighting for hopefully top 3. We're a few attack bonuses away from Kenobi, and we've already played him twice, so we definitely have to win out the next 2 wars, and hopefully we can pull it off just on point differential. Thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button and follow me on Twitter.